What up, what up, what up? Thank you for joining us again on the Smoke Session. As always, I'm your brother Jam.
I'm your boy, Black Hand.
Brother Los on the cam.
And we are the Daily Smoke. Thank you, as always, for joining us on another Smoke Session.
Bitch, pudding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Man, I'm telling you, dude. Okay.
I'm just happy to turn 50 Friday. Fuck y'all.
You know,
Nigga old and damn near dead. But that's okay. We still love you, Bob. You know, you keeps it real. You know, this is the new 50.
Smoke Session forever.
50 is the new 60 when it comes to
What?
50 is the new 60. They get what? But yeah, man.
Forever.
Hey, as always, y'all, thank you for joining us on the Smoke Session. We appreciate y'all showing up, keeping us going. We appreciate the likes, we appreciate the shares, and we definitely appreciate the views. So if you want to know what's going on with us, please check out the website, which is www.thedailysmoke.com. That's THA. And also the Cash App if you want to donate.
TD Smoke.
There you go. So make sure y'all check out both of those. And if you can't donate, hey, go ahead, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. We've already had this conversation.
that motherfucker don't know us.
He don't give a fuck. But
I'm going tomorrow. Fuck yeah.
But you know, hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, and keep watching. You know, make sure you let your people know if you think we even the slightest bit entertaining. You know, let your people know about us, and so we'd appreciate any extra views that we could get, because all it does is help us get you a better show. We trying to build it up to the point to where we can get actual celebrities and stuff on here maybe sometime. Mm-hmm. So who knows, you know? Maybe one day we can get a Tom Holland.
I want what's the name? Zendaya?
I doubt we get her, but
Well, look, if we going that far, then I'm going for Scarlett.
you know?
Hey.
I mean, hey. But anyway, y'all.
Without donations, we're getting no.
Right, we ain't doing none of that. So, all right. Title of the episode: Love, Death, and Robots. Adventures. What did I say? Adventures in the post-apocalypse.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
I think that was the title I put on it. The subtitle I put on it. So, okay. I don't know about y'all, but I've watched all three. I watched the first season of Love, Death, and Robots when it first came out. Like literally, I want to say like the day it came out. Me and my family watched that like we binge watched the whole thing, just all at one time, and then probably watched it like every day for a couple of days after that.
Oh, you gotta get it all in.
Because some things you have to revisit. You know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all who may not be familiar with it, Love, Death, and Robots is an anthology series, short films, all animated, but it combines a lot of different styles of animation. So you have some realistic animation. You have crazy, like, almost look like scribble scratch drawn styles of animation. Mm-hmm. You got some really slick 2D computer animation, as well as some really cool 2D hand drawn animation. So all of it is just really interesting. Visually, it's striking. And then they tell some really interesting stories. In some cases, some really dark fucking stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some really like twisted a little bit kind of story. But we'll get more into that as we go through it, because what we're going to do is just talk about some of our favorite episodes over all three seasons. There's I want to say it was like 18 in the first season. There was only 8 in season 2, and then they bumped it up again, I think, to like 12 or something in the last season. So you got a lot of episodes to go over. So there really is not a way that we could go over all of these.
Because a lot of the episodes are maybe 50 minutes, some are even like 9 minutes. There's so many episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot. And so
I'm volume 3, I think. What's the Swarm? Number 5?
That'll be.
I want to say it's either 5 or 6.
I think that's the 5th.
That's where I stopped there.
Okay, you're gonna enjoy that one. But
I'm already enjoying them as we go.
But here's the thing, and I'm gonna warn you now: if you haven't watched it, spoilers on everything, okay? Because we ain't holding.
Well, I don't think we can spoil this because it's just the episodes that we like. but it's so many that you could probably.
But there might be some people who haven't watched the whole third season, like
really
Los.
fun.
So
Yeah.
when we talk about Swarm, we gonna hit him. We gonna hit him with some
I'm
spoilers.
good with that. Like I said, it'll still be fun to watch it the way they do.
Oh yeah, because trust me, it's definitely worth it.
Yes.
But all right, so let's get into it. Now I know you wanted to start off talking about a particular.
We got to start off with the 3 robots. I'm sorry, the 3
Hey, man.
robots. I love that.
Those little cats is cool. I look, and it's funny that I would say cats. But,
Speak of that.
yeah, man, those 3 little robots are fun. It was basically what you have is 3 robots who are taking a tour of the world that now that man has been wiped out.
Right.
The only thing that's left is robots and cats.
And skeletons.
And skeletons. There are lots of people skeletons. And so they're going around in the first episode, they're going around just talking about like all the different like stupidities of man, like contradictions and stuff about humanity.
They have no idea, like humans.
Like why did they do
Right.
Why did they do this?
why did they ingest food? Why didn't they just get a selenium battery or some shit?
Yeah.
They don't have a frame of reference anymore. They're so far removed from humanity that they don't understand humans as a concept really anymore. We don't make sense to their robot brains.
It's like us trying to understand dinosaurs, even though they have been extinct for. We have no idea. We're just going by some bones. It's like, okay, they used to do this.
They
We don't
realized that it was us who wiped them the fuck out.
Right.
It was robots who fucked with them. And then the cats.
So
the cat.
yeah, because at that very end, you find out that cats have basically are now the dominant sentient species on the planet because cats developed opposable thumbs, and once they could open their own food, they didn't need us anymore.
Ain't that crazy?
I can open my own can of tuna. I don't need you anymore.
I mean, you think about it, a cat with a thumb is probably going to be, well, in some ways, might be smarter than an ape,
Yeah.
No.
and definitely more cunning.
For all the cat lovers,
I love cats. I think cats is cool.
I
Because
love cats too.
the thing about cats is,
I'm not talking about the.
no, you do want the furry ones, right?
Well, if it's trim,
I mean, we just don't want no underage stuff.
let's
You know
let's
what?
continue. We're gonna get
We
cat.
like catfish. We like catfish. Yeah, that was
All right,
catfish.
but I wanted to get into one of my favorites, which was episode called "Sunny to Edge," and this is from season 1.
Yes.
Dude, this episode was so cold. So basically, you have this woman who is the pilot of a artificial life form that they use in these like gladiator style fights.
Battle arenas and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So it's like, but instead of humans fighting, it's these bioengineered monsters.
It's like Pokemon to the extreme.
Well, kind of like remember in Avatar where they could get into a thing and they link to the body and control it remotely. It's like that. So you basically download your consciousness into this huge monstrous body, but then you use it for combat.
Pikachu, I choose you.
But
basically,
but that was always one of the things that made me wonder. So you feel all the pain and everything because your mind is in that body. So when they lose limbs and shit, you feel that.
Right? You have to feel that arm just got cut the fuck
Or
off.
getting stabbed, like how she got stabbed through her like stomach and shit. So
but you ain't gonna die. So.
right, it's not your body, but you still feel the pain. But either way, so she's Sunny is the chick, is the main character. She's the pilot of this giant beast that she uses in combat, and she's known for never losing a fight. And people can't understand why she has such an edge. But then what you wind up as she is getting ready for her next fight, the promoter from the other side basically starts offering her a bribe to take a dive, and she's like, "No, I don't take dives." So when they get into the ring, they start fighting, and her I don't even know what you call it, her beast.
I thought of Pokemon, but still, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know why you call it Pokemon, but it
That
don't fit
was
nobody's
Pokemon.
right. It don't fit nobody's pocket,
That
but
shit had fucking tentacles and
right, that fucking spear shaped
that shit was
head.
crazy, right?
And then it could walk on those damn tentacles. You know what I'm saying? That in picture number 3, that's what you see. It's like suspending its body, but it's walking on the tentacles that it has coming out of its back. And then it could use those suckers like Doc Ock, and they had blades on the end,
that shit
and it was
cool.
cutting you, and stabbing you, and all this
loved
kind of
it.
stuff.
I loved
One of the and then one of the an extremely graphic fight scene, but one of the a damn good fight scene.
Oh yeah.
With that.
Yes.
And so when everything's said and done, she wins the fight. And I'm not gonna go into all the details of the fight. Watch it, you'll love it. Trust me. But she wins the fight.
Spoilers.
But then the promoter who tried to bribe her, is pissed because he didn't want to lose. He had money bet on it or whatever. So he wanted his guy to win. They even went it so far as to cheat in the fight to try and win, and she still beat him. So after the match is over, they try to take her out, and they started trying to matter of fact, they lured her in with another woman, and then basically started they did something that paralyzed her, and then they just started like fucking up her body. They didn't realize the whole time that the woman wasn't the real person.
Spoilers.
Right.
The actual intelligence, the spirit came from the beast. The beast was remotely controlling the human body.
It's a switch of the avatar.
And
Like,
so
That's why she never lost.
right, because that's her real body. She don't want to die.
She'll be in control.
That was her edge. So she basically she releases herself from the machine that she's in as they're destroying the female body, and she's like, "Oh, y'all wanted to take me out. Guess what? Now you got to deal with the real me." So yeah, it was a really cool episode, a lot of fun.
Oh, I loved it. Oh, I
really
loved it.
bloody, really gory.
Yeah,
But,
I loved it.
Then okay, now I can honestly say, just because of my own personal taste, this might be my favorite episode of the entire series.
Say what?
It's called Good Hunting. Okay. And this episode, it was cool because it combined a lot of things that I love, which is like fantasy, because you had a mythical creature who I forgot what they're called in, and I think they go by a few different names in different Asian cultures, but it was a fox spirit.
Almost like a nine-tailed fox. Or
Right.
something like
Who could change back and forth between a human shape and a fox shape, but the human shape was always a woman.
Yeah.
And so this one young boy, his father was a spirit hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out and hunted for these kind of creatures whenever they disturbed the village or something like that. And so him and his father went out, and they one night were hunting this one fox spirit thing because it had killed somebody. And in that process, the father found the fox spirit he was looking for, and he managed to kill it. But he didn't.
I think the boy found the pup first.
That's what I was going to say. But the son found the fox spirit's child, which was a little girl, and he found her as a fox, but then realized that she could change, and instead of killing her, he decided to let her go. Of course, his father had already killed her mother, but he decided to let her go. Act of kindness, just a kid who didn't want to see somebody else get killed.
If you see the fox in the human form, you understand why.
But she was a little kid. He wasn't thinking sexy time back then.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I was a different kind of kid, so I probably would have been too. But that,
you know what? As a kid, I feel you.
But if you listen to the story of how they explained it, those fox spirits were so good at sex, like that once you had sex with them, you became addicted to them and you lost your mind. So she didn't actually kill the guy that she was accused of killing. He killed himself because she rejected him.
That fox.
And they just blamed it on her.
Right.
So that's the problem. Is like you can't just have sex with them. They are literally addicted.
Once you go Fox, you don't go back.
Hey man, I'm trying to
Yeah,
tell you.
on that.
But
That's like the Lord lies.
so this was in the world that they were living in this particular episode. They were on the verge of like an industrial revolution. So what you see is that young boy grow up, and instead of taking up his father's business, he becomes an engineer. He learns how to build stuff in this kind of steampunk world that they live in with gears and cogs and all of this kind of stuff. And so he becomes one of the best engineers that they have. So much so to the point where he can create machines that act and react like they're alive. He creates a steampunk rabbit, and it literally hops around and acts like it's a living thing.
Yeah.
But that's how well crafted and everything that he can make it. So as he's traveling through his life in the city one day, he runs across the girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's now also a grown woman, but because of all the industrialization in their world, a lot of the magic in their world has died off.
Yeah.
And she has lost her ability to be able to shapeshift. She can't turn back into her fox form. So she's stuck in the body of a woman, and she hates it. But she's also kind of been trapped, and the humans that are using her as like a prostitute, as a sex toy, because of course she's got such legendarily good poom poom.
What about money?
They couldn't say no to it.
No.
And so basically when she sees him, he recognizes her as somebody who, at least tried to help her one time.
Yeah.
And so
she remembers him, but like, oh,
she was about to get raped in like an alley or something like that, and he wound up like saving her. And then what winds up happening, and I'm skipping over some parts here on purpose.
She realized, oh, that's you.
Right. That's the same guy that saved me. So what winds up happening is she gets bought by this really rich, wealthy person, and he winds up being extremely abusive. He looks at her as just property, and he wants to just do with her as he will.
Sex dog.
And then one day he starts forcing her to get implants because he likes machines. And by the end of it, he winds up basically, she's almost nothing but like a head and I think some breasts.
Yeah.
And everything else on her body is like mechanical.
SCP. Anyway.
And so when this happens to her, she loses it and she winds up killing the guy. And as she runs away to try to get away, she finds her way to the engineer, the guy that she knew from when she was a child. And when he sees what's been done to her and the butchery that had been done to her, he couldn't stand it. So essentially what he does is he creates a body for her that will allow her to be able to do what she was naturally able to do, which is change back and forth between her fox and human form.
Number 7.
And so if you get to number 7, that was the body he created for her. That was what happened when she was able to change back into her fox form. So her innate magic combined with his mechanical skill created something that was even almost better than her original form.
A cybernetic wolf. A cybernetic fox.
A cybernetic fox that hunted the night and took out misogynistic men.
Beware.
So I thought that was pretty damn cool. So I mean, to me, it just like I said, that episode combined a lot of elements that I really love: the fantasy, the steampunk, the of course there's some sex in it, but that wasn't really the main thing. It was more so about the story that they told, and I just thought it was a really intriguing story.
Yes, if you have young children, do not allow them to watch this because there is nudity.
No, it says it. I think this is for.
Oh yeah, it definitely tells you it's for mature audience. They make it very clear, and they tell you in each episode there's nudity, there's violence, there's
And I'm
gore,
not talking about just showing breasts. I'm talking about there's full nudity.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, in the next one we're going to talk about there's full blown sex. Okay, so now we jump into season 2. I had to limit myself to 2.
I didn't like to. I'm sorry, I didn't quite get into season 2, so I'm gonna allow Mr. Jam over here to
a.
wrap this one up for
Now
me.
I'll say this. Okay,
I would not watch it.
Yeah,
season 1.
it's
Season 1 was damn near perfection.
Good.
yeah.
As far as what you can do with this kind of, storytelling. So season 1, I mean, that's hard to top. Season 2 was
I think volume 2 was episodes that they were going to put in the first volume because they did 18 the first time.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And these might have been cut out of it, but they figured we still got to show them because
We still got
these
to
are pretty neat. So, like I said, I would still watch them just because you want to continue the whole story through
yeah.
into the next volume, even though they're different. You may like some of them. Some of them weren't that bad.
No, it wasn't bad. It was just
They're really
compared
good.
to
First-
season 1.
It's just that to me, in that season, in season 2, you had more misses than hits.
Right.
In season 1, you was definitely easily
Knocking out-
majority hits.
Right, right.
They weren't like very few. I want to say maybe 1 or 2 in season 1. I might consider like, okay, I just didn't really care
They
for
were
that.
still all right.
Right, but they were still decent. But season 2, it just had more downtime than it had active. So I was a little bit challenging to kind of pick some of the ones that I like from that one. But season 2, if you go to number 8, one of the ones that I liked was called Snow in the Desert. And this was a very photorealistic animation style.
Mm-hmm.
So the human beings and everything looked very real, like down to the sweat,
Yeah.
rolling down their face because they were, as the name might imply, in a desert. But what you had was this guy who was an albino immortal. He was human, as far as anybody could tell, but
Yeah.
for some reason, he couldn't die. And he could regenerate just about any wound if given enough time.
Yeah.
And he regenerated extremely fast. So what you had was, you had a lot of people with a bounty on his head because they wanted to get their hands on him to try to figure out his immortality to duplicate it. So there was literally a bounty on his nuts because they had figured that the key to his immortality was in his sperm. And so they literally had bounty hunters looking to collect this dude's nuts. If they couldn't bring the whole body back, at least bring us the nuts.
Bring us these.
Right. And so that's why at number 8 you see that wanted poster. And so the episode starts off with him being in this bar on some alien desert world, and he's like, minding his own business. And these bounty hunters come in, I think it was 3 of them, and they basically like charge him up and was like, "Hey, aren't you this dude Snow we've been looking for? Yeah, number 9.
Give me your nuts.
And they was like, "Yeah, we came to collect your bounty." And he was like, "All right, you can try it if you want to."
We came to collect these.
You
Right.
ain't getting my nuts.
So-
you ain't getting my nuts,
Those-
bro.
But you got to give it to him though. Your boy took out all 3.
Right.
He managed, and all he lost was a hand in the deal. And by the time he made it back to his house, the hand was damn near grown back. So, I mean, what did you really do?
Can he grow his nuts back?
Good question. I don't know. So then when he makes it back to his house,
Just ask the question. But go ahead.
I mean, I would imagine if you can, because he grew back a whole damn arm. If you can grow back an arm, you can grow back nuts.
Nuts,
But what?
ass, whatever.
But wouldn't I'm just on them. But wouldn't that hurt?
Of course it hurts. Nobody said it didn't hurt.
You got your hand cut off. That shit
That
hurts.
shit hurt. Yeah.
You had it growing. That's a good hurt.
Not my
Fuck that.
nuts. Not my
Yeah.
nuts.
And hey,
I need those.
would you rather like a lizard who can drop his tail? Would you rather lose those or die?
I ain't dropping my nuts. But no,
Drop your nuts and run.
Drop them.
I'm grabbing. I'm gonna
Drop
roll
your
with
nuts
it,
and run. But okay, so when he finally makes it back to his place, he gets approached by this pretty female who basically is letting him know that, hey, I know who you are. I know what you are. I know what you can do. I'm here because I'm trying to negotiate with you because I work for some people who want to bring you in and study you and do all of this, but they're not trying to force you. We're trying to negotiate with you and make it worth your while.
Understand you, baby.
So of course, as she's like taking him, he has this dope ass pad in the desert because once you get past a certain door, He's literally got a cave that's been set up with tropical plants. He's got underground water sources that keep his air moist. And so even though he's living in the desert, he's not like in the dry, arid air.
Yeah, my stuff in there.
He chilling and got it cooled and everything.
It's my stuff in here.
So the chick gets into his pad and they're like, okay, she throws her proposal down. He's like, yeah, I don't know, I got to think about it. But while we thinking about it, bow chicka wow wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, put these nuts to work.
Oh yeah, he get at it, and then that's after he does that. After they wind up having sex, she reveals to him that she is in her own way like him, because she's a cyborg.
Number 10.
Her entire body has been replaced. The only thing I think she was that was organic was her brain, right?
I believe
I think
so.
the brain and like a few internal organs, but everything else had been replaced by cybernetics. So essentially, she was immortal too.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Hey," she was like, "Hey, you know, if you're looking for some companionship, I'm a partner who can actually stick around with you. You know, I won't die." Because he talked about in the episode about how he had fallen in love before, but of course he always winds up having to sit back and watch those people eventually grow old and die. Because he had been around for a while already by the time we're seeing this part.
That sucks.
But then another group of bounty hunters show up and they wind up trying to take him by force again. And he winds up having to kill them. But she helps, and that's why you see her with her human-looking skin
Number 10.
basically peeled off because she got into the fight trying to help protect him. But good episode. Again, the storyline to it is dealing with some interesting stuff, especially when you're talking about immortality and humans and stuff like that. So I think that part in and of itself was interesting. Cool.
We
Really
might go that route.
really good animation in that one. I mean, like the
Oh no! It was the graphics and it was lovely.
All of them have good.
A lot of them are even with the basic animation, still good shit.
oh yeah, good solid animation art.
So y'all will have
Beautiful.
fun. Just watch the
The
show.
one,
Y'all will have
in
fun.
the end of episode, not the end, but in between in the first volume, the Killer Griff.
Oh, yeah.
The characters that look like like you were playing a game.
Right, right.
Yes.
You know, for being animation, they look good. It's like, man, that looks like real motherfuckers.
But that's the
Yes.
point. We're getting to that point, Los,
PS5.
where pretty soon you're not gonna be able to tell the imaginary from the real.
With
If
Unreal Engine.
in Japan.
If you think about it, we're only gonna need actors for voices.
That's it, pretty much.
That's
Not
it.
even
What's that developer? Unreal Engine. Oh, they're killing it right now.
No, their shit was really
In Japan, they had, and I don't know if it's still going on, but I remember a few years back they had a big phenomenon in Japan called Vocaloids. And you know how you have like these pop stars where they're these pretty young girls who are sexy, but at the same time they're kind of innocent, and they sing about little just poppy fluff kind of songs, nothing real heavy, but just fun for young people and stuff like that. So what you had in Japan was somebody said, hey, I'm going to create a 3D animated version of a pop star. Not only am I going to make the body of this character completely artificial, but I'm also going to make the voice completely artificial. And every word that the character spoke wasn't even performed by a real human. It was all computer programming. But she was able to sing, talk. They had movies and cartoons with the characters, all this kind of stuff.
No actor, just voice.
Just completely everything computer generated. And people loved it. They ate it up.
Because you get rid of that superficial shit that these motherfuckers have all the time.
I mean,
Not just your voice.
if you think about it, though, it gives like a studio complete control over what you don't have to worry about your actors getting involved in a scandal because they're not real and don't exist off the screen.
Yep.
These are real people.
You know what I'm saying? Your investment in your film is safer with a 3D actor.
Right.
Johnny Depp, get into it. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying, we're steps away from getting to there. You
They
know,
have
I'm
to
not
go.
saying
Not actually.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's where it's
Not that
going.
far
They
from.
got that one AI doll that talks. And moves.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen
They're
that.
already working on that. The porn industry will get to that first.
Oh yeah.
And then it'll go for regular, where you'll have a servant that's a robot.
Will
Oh,
Smith-
that'll be the like the game Detroit.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Where you have this. The Kevin Bacon game. Oh, you saw
I've
the game.
seen it. I've seen
You
it.
know, you just have a
But-
bunch of everybody's, real people and androids.
You just
Android
get
servants,
you get servants.
you know.
I'd be down with it. I'd be down with it.
Well,
'Cause
don't try-
I said like this. And like right now, I have a Roomba, and it vacuums the house and everything. And after a while, you start kind of thinking of it almost like a second pet, because it just runs around the house and does this little thing. Sometimes it gets stuck in corners or stuck under the table, and you have to go rescue it because it'll start beeping. And you really start thinking of it like a second pet. And I say, for when the machines take over, I want them to know already that I'm friendly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm on y'all's side.
Oh, you already
My thing
trading?
with that
You
is,
trading this out already?
Oh yeah, fuck that.
see, my thing with that is you have to program it to first, as they always have in these movies, first objective, not to harm you.
Right.
But you also have to make it to where it can't think for itself.
I am robot.
Or you can never override that. You cannot farm organic.
I am robot.
But say for example, the paradox of that is, so say you have a robot, right, an android that's capable of protecting your daughter, and you've told this robot,
Detroit.
you've told this android, protect my daughter at all costs. Don't let anything harm her.
Right.
So another human comes to try to harm your daughter. What does the machine do? How does it prioritize
Right.
being able to follow its orders as far as protecting your daughter, but not harming a human?
That's when you could just covers them up and let that person beat on them too. But that's the thing. Once you take that away, that's when that problem starts.
But if you also
People
program,
that treat them bad.
if you program the robot for self-preservation, because you don't want a robot that just, as expensive as it's going to be, that'll just walk off a cliff and not care.
You see the paradox in this?
So
Hell yeah.
if you and in Detroit, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You had the dude who was beating up on his robot and wasn't treating it well, and then to save its own self from destruction,
It killed his owner.
it fought back.
Right. So it's that paradox. So hey,
But
let's see,
okay,
let's go. Let's keep
so
going.
back to
Sorry.
what you apologizing for? We here to talk.
No, I'm talking about the paradox and robots, and they trying to kill us.
But-
But go ahead.
Dude, side topics is really our bread and butter, so I'm not tripping. We don't have to apologize for that.
I
'Cause
love
if,
robots.
if you don't like the side conversations, this ain't the show for you.
I
But
love-
okay. But okay.
One
So
conversation leads to the next, and it just goes into different shit.
exactly, man. It's all related. So that's why I say ain't no point in saying
I'm just
sorry for
fucking
that.
with y'all. Go
But
ahead.
number 11, the tall grass.
That was an interesting one. I like that one.
Now, see, to me, this one was like closer to like horror movie type stuff.
Right.
This one, and it was so simple. That was the thing that I liked about it. It was a very simple premise. So this guy's riding on a train, and it's set like back in the day, kind of, so trains, you could tell at this time, was like still like the main
Yeah.
source of transportation. So he's on the train, and he's up late at night while the train is going through just like middle of nowhere kind of country.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to stop. The train winds up having to stop to do something. I forgot what they had to stop for.
Take a piss.
But he basically, the conductor gets off the train, and he's like, hey, if you want to go out, stretch your legs for a minute while we stop, you can. He's like, but don't go too far. He's like, stay close to the train. And when I say
Stay
all
close.
aboard, you better have your ass back on this train. So, dude steps out of the car. He wants to go smoke a cigarette. And as he's standing outside, he realizes they're in the middle of like a cornfield where you have all this real tall, title says grass, but to me it looked like corn. So I could be some type of grass.
Some type of field.
Wheat or some shit,
Yeah.
whatever it was. But it was taller than the man was tall. And so as he's standing there smoking his cigarette, he notices off in the distance like some lights moving in the tall grass. And he's like, what the hell is that? Curiosity gets the better of him. He takes a few steps away from the train and try to get a better look. Can't really see. Takes a few more steps. Still can't see. And he finally goes a little further, and he's starting to realize that he's like, okay,
I fucked up.
like I'm looking behind me now and I don't see the train.
And I went too far.
And then he
That's
realizes
what
that the lights that he saw aren't anything friendly. It actually winds up being these creatures that, for whatever reason, are living in the tall grass. If you go to number 13, and they like glow in the dark, but they have no faces, just mouths with these jagged, sharp teeth. And the minute they realize he's in the field, they start making a beeline for him, running top speed. And this dude is trying to run back to the damn train, but he's not even sure which direction to go. And then he hears the last thing you want to hear in that situation is the conductor call, all aboard!
Right.
And he hears the train start taking off, and he's like, no, shit.
That's when he realized.
Not only
he
I'm
fucked
finna
up.
get left, but I'm finna get my ass ate up by whatever these monsters are in this field.
That's when he
So-
realized he fucked up.
He's trying his best to get back, but he's losing, and the creatures are gaining ground on him. And at the very last minute, the conductor comes out of nowhere and like saves his ass. And the conductor basically tells him, he's like, yeah, sometimes people get lost out there, but I try to save them if I can, but that's why I tell everybody, don't go far from the train,
Right.
and basically,
He was out there.
like he
Yeah.
knew because I think I read somewhere online, if I remember later on, when they were talking about like a breakdown of that episode in
They
particular.
explained them all.
Yeah,
In the-
but they said basically like, yeah, he knows that it could happen because it doesn't happen in every field. It's just certain times that it'll happen. And so he can never tell when it will and when it won't. But whenever he sees it, he tries to save the people,
When I tell you to get your ass on the train, get your ass on the
But
train.
shit, nigga.
At least he came after your ass.
Yeah,
Right, at least he did save.
I told that motherfucker, let me go. And I'm hearing, let me go get his ass.
But-
I told you not to go.
I'm gonna be late by 5 minutes. But shit, man, we can keep it up.
But then, okay, so now we're going to get into season 3.
Oh yes.
And okay, now I have to say this about season 3, just overall. Now, we talked about season 1 and how season 1 was pretty damn close to perfect. Season 2, it was all right. But season 3 brought it back to season 1 levels of
Yes.
excellence.
Yes.
Season 3 is definitely on point, and whatever y'all did to make season 3 happen, y'all need to keep doing that shit for season 4.
And actually,
Almost.
Volume
2,
4.
3. Yeah,
That's right. You're right.
I see.
Almost every episode I've seen so far from season 3 is off the chain. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
watched them all.
I've only seen a few, but yeah, so far.
I'm only missing the last 2. So
I watched them all, and all of them, I could pretty much say, are
they're
good.
good. They're good.
I mean, dude, you got the one episode with the mini zombie apocalypse.
That was
Yeah.
That shit was so
Yeah.
cool.
I love it.
That was just awesome, the way you shot everything to make it look miniature.
Oh, man.
That was
Yeah.
fucking cool.
That's cool as hell the way they did that.
I like the way they ended it too. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was good. What else? There was so
bunch of
many good ones in that one.
Robots are the first episode.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
3 robots.
They brought them back from season 1, the 3 robots.
What was it?
3 robots, something. Exit strategy.
Exit
Exit strategy.
right,
Yeah.
right. So they're going around looking at all the different ways that humans tried to survive the apocalypse. That was fun
Pretty
because,
much like these dumbasses.
oh man, he was like, "What's the difference between a tech millionaire and a regular millionaire?"
Right.
He said, "A hoodie and crippling social anxiety."
Right. That's what he said. That's the difference. And then, Bobby, don't you got a fact about those robots?
Yes.
Or at least one of them, wasn't it?
The robot is the tall white robot, X-Bot 4000. That was voiced by Gary Anthony Williams. We did an episode on this, the Boondocks. That was the voice of Uncle Ruckus.
You know.
Yep.
So he didn't hate black people.
So the same. Well, he was half black.
Yeah,
He finally got his white skin.
yeah.
Right.
But
He
it's
finally got his white skin.
the same voice actor. So,
But yeah, same voice actor that played Uncle Ruckus did that robot. But okay. So I'm gonna get into what probably in volume 3 was one of my favorites, and there's an episode called Swarm.
yes.
So what you have in this episode was, like, at this point, humans, of course, have reached interstellar travel. We're making deals and treaties with different alien races and all of this kind of stuff. And you see this black guy who is obviously some kind of politician. He makes a deal with this alien race, and basically they're like, okay, you're going off on this trip, so we'll see you in 600 days. 600 of your human days.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all right, cool. Next thing you know, you see him entering this kind of hive type ship in space that once they have, the ship is controlled with organic airlocks. These giant starfish almost looking creatures
Yes.
cover the openings in between the outside space and the inside space, but they're literally pressurized. They keep space pressurized so everybody else on the inside can just breathe without any type of space suit or anything like that.
A living freaking ship.
But it is essentially, if you can imagine, an ant colony that evolved to live in space, where the queen can birth any type of worker she might need.
Like an ant colony.
She can literally mix DNA on the fly to create whatever her hive needs. You need warriors, she gonna make warriors. You need workers, she gonna make workers. And they all operate, none of them are independent. They're all completely controlled by the hive, by the queen. Mm-hmm. So what you have is these humans who have been studying these insectoid kind of aliens, and
alien ant colony. So.
He meets up with a human woman, a black human woman, who has been living with and studying this hive for a few years. And so she starts to explain to him like how they operate. Matter of fact, when he first shows up at the hive, one of the insects that live there comes up and bites his ankle. And he's like, what the hell? And she has to explain to him, no, he's gathering your pheromones. He's going to take those to the queen so you're recognized by the whole hive as a friendly target. Otherwise, they'd kill you.
Yeah.
Because they consider you an invader. Right. This is their passport. Right. They don't just look at your picture and say, okay, you cool. No, they literally check your pheromones and say, okay, we recognize you. This is how we recognize you in our society. Because everything for them is controlled through pheromones. But what you also have is over the course of the evolution of this life form, you've had other species that they've come in contact with who have attached themselves as parasitic life forms to the hive. Yeah. So they're not actual members of the hive. They're not the same species as the hive, but they either have proven themselves to be cooperative or beneficial to the hive, so the hive still allows them to hang around and help out.
Almost like ant colonies today.
Right.
A certain ant colony.
How some ant colonies keep aphids as cattle.
Yeah.
Because they milk them. They literally milk them because aphids can produce a sweet nectar-like liquid.
Out their ass.
They protect the aphids from other predators while at the same time harvesting this nectar from the aphids. So it's the same kind of thing.
Now you know.
But unbeknownst to the hive, the humans are plotting. And what they want to do is steal some of the eggs and then use those eggs to breed a captive hive. And that captive hive they will use as slave labor for the human race. Mm-hmm. Because that hive will be controlled through synthetic hormones to do what humans want to do. So,
slaves.
So the male is explaining this to the woman who's been living with the hive, and essentially he convinces her that to help him with his plan, because he says basically we're not going to harm them. They would be slaves anyway because the hive is a slave colony. You know, the insects working in the hive don't have free will.
We gonna
Yeah.
get queen.
We'll just take the place of the queen. And she was like, well, as long as you don't harm any of the ones that's actually a part of the hive, I'm cool with it. So it's like, okay. Well, unbeknownst to them, everything that they was doing, the hive was aware of. And so one day, as the human male was coming back from doing something, all of a sudden the warrior caste of the hive started attacking him. And he was like, what the hell is going on? And so they're coming at him with full force.
Yes.
They're not holding nothing back. They're like trying to kill this dude. And so eventually they wind up capturing him, and they take him deeper into the hive. No, it wasn't to the queen. It wasn't to the queen. Did you ever see Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
Acting on their own.
Do you remember the brain bugs in Starship Troopers?
Yes.
Essentially, that's what this was. And it was a giant, it looked like a giant brain, but it had a bunch of legs coming out of it. But basically, he explains to the human, because what he had done is he had taken the human female and was using her body to speak through.
Oh, that's right.
He had tentacles and shit going into her brain,
That's right.
into her body. So but she was essentially gone.
Mm-hmm.
But he was using no, because he did actually he let it show that her consciousness was still there. He like let her come to the surface, and she was like horrified, like, oh my God, what the fuck is this thing doing to me? Yeah, it was bad. And so he basically tells him, he's like, because of the shit you've been up to, you sparked certain reactions in the hive, because we've come across people who trying to do what you're trying to do before.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so the genetic memory kicks in, and I was born. He's like, and I'm here to figure out what you was trying to do. And now I know what you was trying to do. Now I'm finna use you to my benefit.
Sneaky back.
And that's when they find out that one thing that the hive does, whenever it encounters a race that tries to harm it, instead of out and out warfare, no. They kidnap some members of that race, and then they raise those, they breed them and raise them inside the hive and make them completely loyal to the hive, and then use them to fight their own people.
Fucked up. Man.
That's how the hive gets new. That's how the hive has so many different races that live alongside them. It's just races that they've conquered over the centuries.
Fucked up, man.
So I was like, this is fucking brilliant, man.
Y'all turn sorry, motherfucker. Guess what? We can be sorry.
We even more vicious and cold-blooded than you.
What you think about it's another episode. We don't have the pictures for it, but the giant crab.
Oh yeah, I forgot what that episode was called.
That was Bad Traveling.
Bad Traveling. Yes, you're right. Bad Traveling. That one was messed up.
Oh man,
That one was messed up because
Isn't picture 19 the crab? That's not the crab.
no,
No, we don't have a picture for that.
That was a good one. I like that, how they turn against each other, then they turn against each other.
This is basically.
But he said it.
He did what he had to do.
Your boy said he basically said, like, all of y'all was willing to like take this problem and pass it on to innocent people who had nothing to do with this.
At least the first two.
No, he said at the end, he said every single one of y'all put an X on the piece of paper.
Oh, to give y'all a little clarity.
He said I didn't have to mark the ballots because all of y'all put an X on the paper.
For the people watching, I'll just give a little clarity on this episode. What you have is a ship, and you have a giant crab, a sentient giant crab.
That crawls on board one night and they have to try to fight it off.
Yeah, and it's hungry.
It's pregnant.
Yeah, a female crab, and it's hungry. And people are, being slaughtered by this giant crab. But it wasn't a captain or something like that. Actually, kind of made a deal with the crab.
He was the captain.
No, he wasn't the captain.
No, he wasn't
the captain died.
No, I thought he was the captain and the big dude took over when they did that boat.
Well,
Sticks.
what they was voting on was the short stick was supposed to be the one who went down to talk to the thing.
Yeah.
But
That's
but
what he
instead
told.
he turned it to, oh, y'all made me the leader because I got the short straw.
You go.
So you go. You're right.
And
So
he made a deal. He made a deal with the giant crab, but the
Yeah.
giant crab somehow I don't use the top torso or the top part of a human to actually talk through. Use it to actually communicate.
It did some Independence Day shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of
The
that.
tentacles were out, and made it talk through that.
So it basically told him, it was like, I want to go to this island. And this was an island that was populated. And it basically said, he basically convinced it, he's like, if you want to make it to this island, you got to keep me alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't harm me. But he didn't make no such promises for the rest of his crew because he knew they had to travel for days.
And the crab was hungry, so
And the crab told him, he's like, I'm hungry.
I need
So
food.
first night he comes out and he says, okay, we're gonna take a boat because we could take it where it wants to go, or we could sidetrack and go to an uninhabited island and try to leave it there and just get away from it. So they hold a vote, and he says, okay, 0, a circle means
Abandoned.
we're gonna try and abandon it, but an X means we're gonna take it where it wants to go. After the vote was cast, he comes out and he says, okay, I marked all the ballots secretly without y'all realizing it. So I know who put an X on the piece of paper, and anybody who would be willing to do that is a fucking coward, and I'm not having it. And he tells there was 2 brothers who one was already injured, and he tells one of the brothers who's not injured, he's like, okay, you step to the side just a little bit, and everybody thinks he's finna shoot this one guy.
The brothers got to go first.
He bam, shoots both of the brothers with one shot. Bullet goes through one head and goes through the next one. Takes him out with one shot.
Both of the asses down there.
And so he was like, yeah, those 2 were one of the they put X's on their paper. They wanted to pass this off on everybody else. So now that was some bullshit. So he throws the bodies down to the crab. Then something else happened, I forgot. But basically, he started killing off.
Well, they turned against him.
Yeah,
They did that came later, but there was something else before that because there was a couple more that went down into the hole. I forgot why though.
Well, that was after they went to start stabbing him in the head. He was in there.
Well, he killed them all at that point.
Yeah, then he
Well,
started throwing them all
as
over
the time went on, as far as getting to this island, we're getting closer and closer to the island. So, and the crab is hungry. So, I already know what y'all voted. So, it's just a matter of just
No, he when they tried to kill him, he was like, fuck it.
And he killed all of them.
He shot them all and
He
threw
killed
all the
them all.
bodies down there. But then when he went down there to talk to the crab, that's when he realized it wasn't just the crab anymore.
Right.
The crab had babies.
Female crab with babies, and they were hungry.
And those babies looked like little giant ticks.
Ticks. Yes.
They were nasty looking. But
But he ended up tricking the crab. It was like, you want to go to the island, but it's not, what we said, wine or anything in these barrels that are down here. The one thing that we do have down here is oil. And he started slashing the barrels to release the oil. And I think he did
that was his plan to get rid of it.
yeah, he set the whole thing on fire.
just blew it up.
Set the whole thing on fire. And the crab even told him, it's like, my shell will protect me.
Nope.
He was like, it's not you I'm trying to kill.
He
He was
shot
trying to kill all those damn babies. Because the babies didn't have the hard shell yet.
He burnt the shit out all of it.
Basically, he baked some crab in that ship. So
Yeah, but that probably would have tasted
I know
nasty.
it's some good. Yeah, especially when it just feed on people. It's probably not gonna be the best crab in the world.
But all right, last one I want to touch on real quick is number 17, vaulted halls in tomb was the name of that episode. In vaulted halls in tomb. So basically, you have these soldiers who are going after somebody who was kidnapped. Like their target was to save this kidnapped victim, right? And so they follow the kidnappers into a cave. And as they're going into the cave and they're getting deeper and deeper into the cave, they're starting to see like these little glowing lights and things that are crawling around inside. And finally, one of them comes down and one of the soldiers catches it and he's holding it in his hand, and it looks like a spider made out of crystals, right? But then the middle of the spider opens up, it unfolds like a I don't even know how to explain it. But inside, when the thing opens up, was a face and a mouth with a whole bunch of sharp teeth, and the thing bit the dude's finger off.
Oh shit!
And so that's when they realize these fucking things that they're seeing climbing up and down the walls are carnivorous. So all of a sudden, as they're looking, the walls are covered in these things. Like before, they were standing in the dark. Now there's so many of these glowing spiders.
Nope.
There's light in the room.
Nope.
So they're trying to shoot, as many of them as they can, but they're like swarming. They're all over the place. So they're getting pushed deeper and deeper into the cave, deeper and deeper into the cave. So finally, they come out into this opening that was these giant staircase. It was like a giant staircase.
Uh-huh.
And that's number 18. And at the end of this giant staircase was this, looks like a pyramid almost, without the point at the top. And it had this light coming out of the top. And they're like, what the fuck is this? So as they're standing there trying to figure out what to do, bigger versions of the spiders start coming out of the cave and chasing them down the steps. Again, pushing them closer and closer towards this tomb. Eventually, once everything's said and done, you're down to 2 soldiers, guy and a girl. And those 2 soldiers make it to the final tomb, and as they go inside, a voice starts talking to them, and it says, "Release me," and it's speaking, but it's speaking to them in their minds. It's not even speaking out loud. What it is some kind of ancient elder god is locked up down in this
Cthulhu type shit.
Yeah, some kind of eldritch beast is locked up down here, and something about it wants to escape, essentially. And I guess the creatures in the cave were designed to herd people down to it, so maybe it could convince one of them to release it. Because whatever it was doing to them, its command for them to release it was like overpowering their free will, or at least it did in the guy. The woman was still trying to resist it, but the guy was fighting like tooth and claw trying to release the damn thing. And so eventually what winds up happening is she kills him to stop him from releasing it.
Yeah.
But then the screen kind of goes black and you don't know what happened to her. And after a couple seconds, the screen comes back up and you see somehow she's made it outside and she's walking through the desert again. But when the camera slowly comes up on her, she's cut off her own ears. She's cut off her own eyes to keep herself from hearing this thing's voice and from being able to see it, to fall susceptible to its will, so she would not release it.
This is how good this show
19 is the creature that was locked up down there.
But yes, please check out this anthology.
What I'm
it's
telling,
beautiful.
This show, it goes hard.
And we just scratching the surface as far as all the episodes that are there.
Exactly. I mean, we're barely doing these episodes justice, even in trying to describe them. Because when I tell you that the artwork and the storytelling and everything, especially in volumes 1 and 3, is on point in almost every episode. It is on point in almost every episode.
You even have one little small one that's called with the sentient yogurt.
When the yogurt takes over.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it is literally about a cup of yogurt that winds up taking over the world.
Right.
So, I won't even say no more about that.
Good.
Please check it out.
That's really good.
I think we're going to wrap it up, man.
Yeah, let's get this one over, man. But
It was, of course, as always, a pleasure getting to share our opinions with y'all on the kind of things that we like and find interesting. What I'd like to hear from y'all, man, if y'all are out there watching, tell us what you might like us to talk about. Don't get me wrong, we got plenty of ideas and as much stuff as we like as far as anime, movies, and all this kind of stuff. We ain't gonna run short of ideas no time soon. But my point is we would love to hear from you as our audience, and just let us know what you're interested in. Give us some
podcast.
Right, it's the People's Podcast. We really want to hear from you, so that way we can get some feedback and kind of know what you might be interested in, so we can help make shows that y'all would be more interested in watching. So please let us know, and if you want to check us out, go to www.thedailysmoke.com. It's going to tell you everything that we're going to be talking about on upcoming episodes, whether that's live shows on Mondays and Wednesdays, whether it's smoke sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or even if you want to check out the TGIF editions on Fridays. Holla at your boy, Mr. Losey Los. You know what I'm saying? They gonna get us canceled on Fridays for real, y'all.
We ain't talking about bitches no more.
I ain't even joking. So they gonna get us canceled on Fridays.
Bobby and Ron, they gonna get us. They be talking about shit.
No, that's wrong with bitch.
And here you go. Here you go. You gotta bring them up.
Hey, what? I just want to freak out and run. That's all I want to do.
Anyway, so check us out on the website, and if you feel so inclined, man, please go ahead and donate. $TD Smoke on the Cash App. You know, we appreciate anything you might be able to do, but hey, we do understand times is hard. Can't donate, please hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe, and keep watching, because the more you watch, the more we get exposure, and the more we're going to be able to do for y'all, because the bigger our name gets, the more we're going to be able to bring y'all. So please keep that in mind. Again, I'm your boy, Brother Jam.
Boy, Blackhand.
Brother Lil Sonny Camp.
And this is Daily Smoke. Thank you for joining us on the Smoke Sessions. We are out. Peace.
Sessions forever.